mwezi huu ni mwezi ngapi mtu Oktoba? Mwezi wa Septemba au sio? Naam, ni saa 4 dakika 6 na sekunde za kuhesabu haswa. Karibu katika makala ya The Football Slip. Wajua na kigugumizi manake lianza zilizala uwanjani sababu macho usingizi. Lakini kikosi chote kiko hii leo katika makala ya The Football Slip. Mtu wa Mlima leo mlikuwa mmeenda kwa kwenye chama. Niamua nini? Nasema mtaki kuna watu pembeni wako nasema alikuwa anafikiria chama kitatoka huko kiende kule vingine kwenda.
Nasema pembeni nini? Usiseme Robert.
Hadi kisa nasema lenyuma chama.
Kaya chama imekataa ku. Kuna muda watapata tu, wasitie shaka.
Kuna mikakati. Si ati una nini unapewa, sio trophy.
Lazima
you have to fight for it.
Lazima ujisukume.
Robi, jitume kidogo.
Lakini iko sawa. Wiki imekuwa sawa kabisa. And we are back for the football slip.
Back with the big bang.
Back with the big bang. Big bang.
Mtu wa Real bwana mwenye amenuna.
Kutwek koko.
Real Madrid
kutweng ni kibarua.
Kibarua ni kazi.
Real
Real ako sawa.
Mbona unatwengi Kiswahili?
Bado kumbe Zeno anaongea Kiswahili. I'm shocked. Zeno was a week bill bana.
We have had so many football arenas actually to exercise our eyes on, and it has been so beautiful that we have a team that has never lost a game since the league started. They are now on a 6 matches on a winning streak. 100%. 100.
Are you talking about Liverpool?
No. You have just mentioned
Liverpool has played 5 games, not 6. So
Liverpool has played 6, including
Who watches Liverpool in my space?
Carabao Cup.
We are talking about Real Madrid.
Real Social.
A team that has got a pedigree of winning trophies, and it has started a league on a bang. Right now it's on 6 matches without losing any given single match. Next, I think tomorrow is when they are now facing their litmus test. And if they happen actually to bounce back at the Real that we have associated to,
it's a derby.
Is done now. We know that Real is back and is ready to challenge the likes of the team that you support here. And you know, it's a team that has all the capabilities of winning.
Sebu amepiga luku.
Sebu has been away.
Ametoka Tokyo, Japan. He was in Tokyo, Japan for World Athletics Championships.
Unasema alitoka Kampala, akaenda Tokyo.
Sasa is back.
Yeah. Briefly alafu
Team Kenya.
You or me?
Team Kenya.
No, small team. I'm glad to be back. It has been a good recess, so to say. But Cedric words are just poking me to speak. But it's a moment for him to shine. If you hear him talking that 6 games unbeaten, you wonder which teams are they playing against. And when the rubber meets the roads, that's when we try to separate boys from men, or rather the chaff from the wheat. But that said and done, I think it has been a good week. Looking forward to more action around the Stars doing their things, the selection. And then, of course, Nairobi United facing NEC in their return leg on their debut in CAF Confederation, Kenya Police as well. All these teams have what it takes to qualify into the next round this coming weekend.
Jamani Tanzania. Kwema kaka kwema.
Kwema sana
Mmetuzidi nini huko Tanzania? Dar es Salaam.
Kwema, lakini mambo mazuri.
Kwa mambo suluhu.
Wiki limekuwa nzuri. Tunashukuru.
Dela liko wapi?
Dela nilienda.
Dela ametulia.
Aliliuza Dela.
But wiki imekuwa nzuri. Mengi yamefanyika viwanjani hasa katika soka. Tumeona mechi kadhaa zikipigwa Carabao. Lakini pia lile tukio la Kenya Police na Mogadishu. Tukio ambalo limeteka hasa wiki nzima kwamba wale vijana ambao walikuwa watukutu sana, wakidharau bendera ya Kenya ambayo watu wa Mlima Mau wamepigania miaka yote. Wiki imekuwa nzuri hasa Nairobi.
Well, of course, it's the first time that first time that we are, the team or the gang is together for close to 2 months, because, you know, people had different obligations here and there, but for the first time in 2 months, we are together. And we wanted to begin the show with a bang, take a look at what has happened this week, because everybody has said it's been a fantastic week when you talk about soccer. So let's begin by recapping the week, how it was. And we begin with Football Kenya Federation Premier League, where we had Mathare United in action against Posta Rangers, one of the very interesting games that we had this week. And it was very interesting that, you know, Posta won this game and Mathare were leading in that game. Now, aside from that, Dembele won the Ballon d'Or. Yes, he's the best player in the world. Cedric Musumba, his time has finally come.
It has just been a matter of time. It's a player actually who has been looking up to such kind of accolades. You know, he has also been playing for clubs that really equally gives him a chance to win that kind. You know, all the way from Dortmund when he was still young. Again, went to Barcelona. Back now. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
And now back to PSG. It tells you a story of a player that has really been trading around. That team can really give him a room to win Ballon d'Or. And this time around, if it could have been evaded him, I think it would have been just like dusted for him, and he would have ended up not necessarily winning it. But again, we live and we love it for him, given that he has been he picked injuries along the way. He has also not had a rosy kind of movement towards his technical bench. Remember, at some point, he was benched simply because of the differences that they had with Luis Enrique. And according to him, I think that was a kind of a blessing in a disguise, because it really shaped him up, and he made himself to recollect himself and start being the Dembele that we currently celebrate. If not Luis, I don't think if Dembele could have gone ahead and win that Ballon d'Or. I think he shaped him to an essence of making him to be Dembele, who has matured, who can go ahead and win the trophy that has really won him the Ballon d'Or currently that he's enjoying. Lucky enough, he appreciates all the path that he has followed to be where he is currently.
Kariuki, on the same day that Dembele was winning the Ballon d'Or, Marseille was in action against PSG, and they handed PSG their first loss of the season.
It was very interesting that actually Enrique was also won, as I was given an award as the
Coach of the Year.
But on the other hand,
he's losing.
He's losing. And also I think they underrated Marseille while they were playing. But the second half, I think PSG did some good work.
It was a very heated game. Remember, after full time, they even started fighting.
Exactly. And if we could look at the PSG players, also I think their mind were like, what is happening on the other side? Until they realized they have already conceded a goal, and they were trying to do a comeback. And in fact, the coach, the Marseille coach, Zabi, it's called Zabi, was given a red card, showing how the game was intense. And I think it goes to show how interesting the league in France is. And going forward, PSG will have to be keen. It will not be a walk in the park like it was last season, where they won Champions League, the league, and also they got to the final of the world,
even
the Club
UEFA,
World Cup,
UEFA Super Cup.
UEFA Super Cup also. It was a very good league.
Marseille were just from playing Real Madrid. Why are you not mentioning that?
Are we saying it's no longer a farmers league?
No, Marseille was just from playing Real Madrid.
But Sedo, that it
does not count.
It does not count here. Roger Seshtemi, we had Newcastle in action, and they began their defense of the Carabao Cup with a 4-1 win. What did you make of that performance? It is a warning that this cup, they are out to reclaim it, or not even reclaim it, but you know, stick with it.
I think
4-1 against Bradford.
I think on one way or so, it could be some motivation to them. Remember, they have just lost one of the biggest prospects in Alexander Isak, and they're trying to build a team that now can compete against the best in the league as well. For Carabao, of course, it is anybody's cup, because it depends. You only need to win, I think, 3 matches or so, and you are in the semi-finals. And so now I think the real test starts in the fourth round, whereby they have now to fight against some of the best team in that competition. But that said and done, you know, looking at all the top EPL teams that featured in this tournament over the last 3 days. So both of them, all of them actually fielded strong teams, because it means that right now no team is ready to lose any title. They are going all full throttle to ensure that at least they get something at the end of the season. But for the Magpies, I think they know this could be their title, because they can't actually chase for the Premier League, and this could be one of the best position, or rather best situation for them, at least ending the season with the title.
Davis Mberia, Arsenal, Eberechi Eze scored his first goal for Arsenal this season as they got a 2-0 win against Port Vale.
Arsenali motisha kubwa sana kwao katika kombe la Carabao, lakini pia Eberechi Eze mchezo wake umekuwa ukiongezeka na kuboreka kabla katika mechi ambazo amecheza hivi karibuni baada ya kutua Arsenali. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba ni mechi ambayo ilimpa hasa mwamko mkubwa kwamba unaweza, na hii ndio klabu kubwa ambayo ulihitaji kuchezea zaidi, lakini pia imewapa Arsenali motisha fulani kwamba kando na kuwania taji la ligi kuu Uingereza, pia huku kwingine tunaweza, lakini kibarua alivyosema Shitemi kitaanzia katika round ya 4.
Yes, aside from Arsenal, Manchester City, Hassan, they were in action against Huddersfield. They got a 2-0 win with Phil Foden and Savinho scoring now that Manchester United was not in action. But let's move away from Man City. And the other team that was in action is Liverpool. They got a 2-1 win against Southampton. And Daniel Kariuki, Hugo Ekitike sent off for a very, quote-unquote, what Anslot said, stupid red card.
I think it was also because it is Carabao. Well, scoring is an interesting, or rather is something that makes someone feel very happy. But you need to remember that you have a red card, and this was Carabao. That also. Why are you laughing? Oh, you had a yellow card, and this is Carabao that is part of. Yeah, this is just Carabao. So there was no need of getting that red card again. Yes. It was the third round, and I want to agree with Ancelot. He's actually lucky that the game was almost coming to an end because it was, I think, dakika 85. So they had like 5 minutes plus the additional minutes. If it was at the 70th minute, it means it would have given pressure to Slot to try and think through on how he could change maybe the tactics. Look at what happened with Chelsea. The 6th minute, getting a red card. It actually
disorients the whole
and
team,
again, it was pressure to Maresca to do some and did some changes. He did some changes that maybe if he had not done them and Manchester got a red card, then he would have scored the 2 goals and maybe even went ahead to win the game. So I want to agree with Slot.
So let's quickly run through other moments that we've had this week. Real Madrid was in action in La Liga. They got a 4-1 win. Aside from Real Madrid, Barcelona was in action against Real Oviedo, and they got a 3-1 win in that tie as well. Now, aside from Barcelona being in action, we take a look at the UEFA Europa League, where we had Anthony come on and score an equalizer as Real Betis settled for a 2-2 draw against Nottingham Forest. Let's move away from that, from Anthony, yes, the best player in the world at the moment. Aston Villa got their first win of the season. Yes, the first win of the season. And it was a 1-0 win against Bologna in the Europa League. Very, very delightful for them to get that win this season. They will be playing Fulham tomorrow, not on Sunday rather. Not sure if they will get a win. Now, aside from Aston Villa, we have big games this weekend. Real Madrid will be taking on Atletico Madrid. It's the Madrid derby. Yes, we'll be waiting to see. This is the first big test for Real Madrid. We'll be talking about this later on in the show. Now, aside from this, AC Milan will be taking on Napoli. A very, very interesting fixtures. The midfield maestros will be in action. We'll be waiting to see how they pull those strings in this fixture. And in the English Premier League, Arsenal will be going to face Newcastle. Very interesting fixture also that we are looking forward to see how it ends. So that is all about recapping the week. Now, let's begin by taking a look at Harambee Stars squad. That is Benny McCarthy unveiled his squad for the upcoming international fixtures. And this is the squad that is selected. The goalkeepers, you have Farouk Shikalo, and then there's Brian Bwire. Aside from Brian Bwire, there's Brian Omondi. These are the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, final squad for Beni Makapi. Now, aside from the goalkeepers, the defenders, you do have Manzur Okwaro, Vincent Harper, Sylvester Wino, Alphonse Omija, Colin Sichenje, Michael Kibuage, Rooney Onyango, Abud Omar, and Danny Sakari. That is in defense. In midfield, you do have the likes of Alpha Onyango, Duke Abuya, Timothy Uma, Ben Stanley, Marvin Abuire, and Austin Odhiambo. Remember, Austin is back to the squad. And in attack, that is in the striking force, you have William Lenkupai, Job Ochieng, and Boniface Mushiri. Cedric Musumba, what do you make of this squad? Michael Olunga is there, Rano Gam is there, and Lawrence Okoth. What do you make of this squad that was selected by Beni McCarthy? And Kenya will be in action in the next 1 week, a week or so, if I'm not wrong. Eshtemi.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yes, Kenya will be in action in 2 weeks' time, and will be the last round of the World Cup qualifiers.
Fair enough. I think you might talk about it being like a dead rubber simply because Kenya is not necessarily playing for World Cup, and again, they're just trying to find a way of maybe building a team that can represent us moving forward and also accumulating some point that can really draw us up towards the ladder in FIFA ranking. But if you go and allow me maybe to pick from the Ben McCarthy's words, he has at one time actually be not showed enough to media when we are trying to analyze his squad. And at a certain point, he really necessarily told us that he wouldn't have actually gone ahead and aligned the local best player simply because the fear of him getting soaked in 10 goals. But if you go by the squad that he has actually given us today, he has 10 local based players, and these players are really accumulatively culminating from the Chan squad that he has just recently headed to quarterfinal. Then it presents a question of what has necessarily changed between the McCarthy who told us that he cannot align local based player and the squad that he has given us. Maybe something is bound to happen differently. Also the player that he's really calling back in the name of pro player, now that he's a pro-oriented kind of coach, going by his term, aligning it whatever he told us. We can see the likes of Farouk Shikalo, Brian Bwire, who is now going to pro simply because he's in Polokwane, South Africa. And then we have Brian Omondi. But you ask me still, I will still go with Brian Omondi simply because of what the value he gave us when he traded for us during Chan. But according to McCarthy, simply because he trades locally, he's not bound to contain that pressure that comes with it.
Who will you start? Okay, no, let's leave that conversation. Let's come to the defenders. I mean, there's no new name here. These
local best player are dominating, apart from Colin Sichenje. I think Alphonse Omija local, Sylvester, and Rooney Onyango. And if you ask any Kenyans, going by how we saw the result that the so-called pro player gave us, no one actually is likely want to associate themselves with the pro players. They want local. But our coach
played against Seychelles, and you saw what they
But
did.
Seychelles is not a punch of our weight. Anyone, you see, even Hassan here is laughing. You cannot actually compare Rambesa. If you want to play in World Cup, a quality of World Cup, and according to Ben Mark, who keeps on mentioning to us qualities, World Cup present a different venue of qualities as opposed to whatever we saw against Seychelles. We were playing with fishermen as people, so many other guys will call it. So as to say, McCarthy is a kind of a player, a coach who really value foreign-based players. And our midfield is made by local-based players, has got no choice other than to play the local-based players.
Eshtemi, what are your thoughts on this squad?
I think from what you have seen, based on the shortest time McCarthy has been around, I think right now he has gotten his squad because these players have been recurring. Yeah, apart from 2-3 names that are coming in, the rest have been omnipresent. And look at those players he has dropped. Richard Odada, he wasn't influential in the last 2 fixtures he featured for the national team. Emmanuel Osoro, he wasn't that person many people expected him. That's why maybe he has given way for the youngster that is Lawrence Okoth, who has just joined a Finnish top-tier side a few weeks ago. And then come in the likes of Rian Ogam, who has just joined the Australian Bundesliga team. So that tells you that McCarthy has already seen this is the squad that I can walk along to achieve my dream with the Kenyan football. But the biggest question is what just Cedric has posed in terms of professional best players. What type of energy are they bringing to this team? Because, of course, it took a jibe when we were stunned by the Gambia, and he said that indeed, if I would have maybe gone with the other squad that featured in CHAN, maybe the scoreline would have been totally different. But, you know, you need to bring this confidence in these players that, yes, they're going to get a beating, but next time out, they're going to give you the result. And that's exactly what I'm pretty sure he's going to do. Because remember, you're not going to face a Burundian team that's going just to sit back and wait for Harambee Stars to beat. And the final game of this qualifiers will be against Ivory Coast, who are aiming to go top of the group and qualify for the World Cup in 2026. So definitely, the trip to Abidjan, that's going to be like a massacre. I don't know which approach he's going to use, because already he spoke about the team that maybe will have conceded more goals against a team of Gambian caliber, which had nothing to lose. But here you're going to Ivory Coast, a team that knows that indeed if we get more goals against Kenya, maybe we can dislodge Gabon from the top. So definitely he has already seen his squad, and now it's a matter of Kenya to give him the time he wants. Of course, I know you are sucking about maybe the omission of Brian Mishira. Of course, that was a surprise for many of people. So, bearing in mind that indeed Mishira, he was part of the CHAN squad, and he had shown a lot of glimpses of to impress with Shaban in the opening match of the season. And it's unfortunate for many people because, stop laughing.
For this many people.
No, he's actually
I'm
putting
dissecting.
in a very
Yeah, I'm
important
dissecting.
point.
I'm
No,
dissecting.
because he started the season really well.
Really well. Yeah,
So-
that was exactly after he was overlooked by McCarthy during the CHAN. So he was trying to prove a point, hoping that indeed when these qualifiers come, definitely he'll get a chance.
Robbie expected him in the national squad.
Not Robbie alone.
But you should not also complain. You should not
FC
laugh
Hassan,
at AFC. Even AFC has no one.
No one is complaining.
And no one is
I want Hassan to take us through this week's sleep before we take a break. Take us through the sleep, then we go for a break.
Good.
Hata Muranga si like.
So
For
this
the
week's
first
sleep,
time,
Posta Rangers.
Acha tupitie sleep kwanza.
Hii issue ya FC kutokuwa na player national team ndio shida.
Eh.
Posta Rangers against Tusker, Sofapaka taking on Gor Mahia. Bandari against Shabana, the mighty Robbie's mighty Shabana.
Yes.
Umesikia wapi? Brentford against Manchester United. Aston Villa will be at home against Fulham. Newcastle United, that's a crack of a match. Newcastle United will be at home against Arsenal. Atletico Madrid will play Real Madrid, the Madrid derby. Villarreal against Atletico de Bilbao. Juventus against Atalanta. Then AC Milan will take on Napoli. So those are this week's 10 matches selected by the team here.
So we go for a break.
Yeah, let's take a break. Then when we come back, of course, we'll go through our slips and then, of course, recap last week's results, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So don't go too far.
We value your feedback and welcome your comments, queries,